the people that's in prison and jail.
Now you do realize that by doing that, you cutting profits for like they're not interested in figuring out what the problem is, because that's called job security. If you rehabilitate people like you say you do, they don't come back. You don't have an industry. So you would run afoul of people who, like the telephone companies who supply jail, or the clothes, or the industries that rely on prison labor. How would you go about, because you're going to make a lot of enemies when you do stuff like that. How do you go about curbing that? Because we all know that prisons and jails are for profit. What's your idea around that?
Well, the jails and prison system, yeah, of course you make enemies everywhere you go. Somebody don't like you. So I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter what people say or talk. It doesn't matter what people say or how they look at you. They're gonna talk about the way you're dead or alive. So if it causes enemies, that means I must be doing something right. And for it to make a change, to make a change in our communities and our nation and where we live and how we live, it starts at home first. But if it's not right at the home first, then it ain't gonna be right when you get to the jail, because it starts the way the jail and law enforcement works. It starts at the top. If the top is bad and rotten and all that, all the employees down there, no matter how many people come, it's more bad that outweigh the good. So if the head is bad, then that means the whole department's bad. Even though it might be some good officers in there, if you look at it in the whole, they're gonna think that the whole department is bad.
And that's how they characterize us as males of African origin. It doesn't matter what we happen to look like. It doesn't matter what we happen to be. They're going to judge all of us based on the actions of a few of us. So I kind of, hey, you're going to kind of take that poison when you take the job. So.
Mhm.
And I don't think that people are inherently bad. I think that, like we stated last week, if you make a mistake, you shouldn't be punished for it for the rest of your life. But if you are punished for it, the place that they are sending you shouldn't be just punishment. That's like when you're a kid and you do something bad. It's like if you did one thing bad as a kid and got your ass whooped for it every day for 10 to 15 years. Just got beat like the shit beat. There's my PG rating. You just got the shit beat out of you every day of the week for one thing you did 6 months ago. That's and when you got discipline going on with no corrective measures to change that, there's nothing to change. But have you ever considered running for mayor?
No.
Why not? Why not?
Because I don't get into politics, because politics is wrong in every stage or form. And no matter how you look on it, it's wrong from the very beginning. So the government was never for the people. The way I think, the government was never for the people, because if it's for the people, there would be no Democrat and Republican. It would be one group getting it right for the nation, for the people in the nation. That's my opinion.
This is a corporation, and this is the corporation of the United States of America. We are a business, and we are bought and continually sold. Just like prisons are for punishment because people want money, people pass that same mind frame down that, these people must be bad. Now, you mentioned earlier, I'm segueing off into the generational part where the cops somebody in the family becomes a cop, and then they have kids, and then that son becomes a cop, or that son becomes a judge or a lawyer. Is that kind of what you meant by generational power?
Yes, because somebody get back. I'm gonna say back in the 1960s and 1970s, you can have somebody's grandfather join the law enforcement, raise up in rank, get high up above, then he have 4 children. And then he teach his children how to do it right and they become lawyers and they become your law enforcement, they become your judges, and then the grandfather might not have been wrong, but he passed it down, and the system, when they joined, the system corrupted them, and they doing the wrong, and therefore it started passing on down. So you can have somebody that was in, their grandfather was in the riots back in Alabama. He could be high ranking, he'd be high ranking officer up there, and he could teach his children, which is the lawyers and judges and law enforcement officers. He teach his children the wrong things in law enforcement to do, and passing on down to and on down to the power, and so that I'm trying to word it correctly.
Don't take time, man. Take time. Get it out. I'm not quoting. Opinion. I want to throw out this disclaimer. Opinions and views expressed on Jeremy Speaks on Everything are the opinions and views of the participants in the conversation. These are not facts. These are just merely conversations between two people. All right. Now that I've thrown that out there, you can go ahead.
But you can have somebody that's in power. Teach them what you know about it, how to get away with stuff, and they can pass it on down to their families and say, around this time, you know how bad law enforcement is now, or how the media looks at law enforcement. And I'm not saying all officers are bad, but they say they can say that my grandfather was in law enforcement, and then I can say my father was in law enforcement too, and so I passed it down to the son or daughter that I had, and then they're gonna pass it down to their children. And just because your grandfather was there and who he was in law enforcement, that gives you power in the system, in the law enforcement system. And just because of who he was, you just get it right away just because of who he was. You're right to coattail him. And
well, I mean, that's kind of something we need to take. We need to, as Killmonger said in Black Panther, I learned from my oppressors. We kind of need to delve off into, and not trying to say that it's all about race, because it's not, but we kind of need to steal certain things. You know, they already accuse us all of being thieves and shit. So we need to steal certain things that they've done to take over places that they've taken over. And I mean, honestly, I'm not stealing it. It's what's taught to me. Like, these are the ways of the land that I live in. Therefore, I must live like the Romans do when I'm in Rome. Anyway, I feel like we could do something similar. Yeah, it'll be a lot harder. We'd have to work twice as hard and get half the credit. But we're not, like you said, generational. We wouldn't be doing it for us. We're doing it for the children's children later on in life. See, that's something that we need to do. Now, and I mean, it's just a suggestion. I'm going to throw it out there. Like I said, it's my opinion. But, we need to do something similar, though.
And it's like the men of African origin law enforcement now perceives us as threat. And you could be Joe working in a factory with 20 years, no criminal record ever, and you get shot down the street like you was a murderer that just killed 2 cops in the same fashion form, just because he perceives you as a threat. All the officer got to say is say I felt threatened for my life, or all he got to say is gun, gun, gun. They open fire on you.
And that's that punk ass bullshit stand your ground law like they got in Florida, where I was in threat for my life. The origins of cops go all the way back to the days where we were treated like animals, and now they flipped that somehow and made it perceived that we're a threat. And it's not fair. It's not right. But at the same time, what have we ever really been able to do about it? They got the gun, the taser, the handcuffs, the badge, and the pen, which is the strongest thing they can have.
If the men of African origin just come together and just talk, it can be for just 10 minutes and talk about the issues in the African communities, men of African origin communities. It can be we can do so many things if we just come together and stop all this bickering on what side of the street you on, and I'm on this side of the street. I don't like you, so I'm gonna shoot you. And it's like we killing ourselves. We doing the work of the KKK back in the 1800s. We doing the work for them instead of it's like, and then we get charged with murder, and they want to throw us in prison forever because the son and daughter that's in the law enforcement that taught him how to get away with things is corrupt, and throw him in prison for the rest of his life or the rest of their life, and then they don't have an opportunity to reproduce and teach their children what not to do, and their children grows up and becomes what they became. It's a cycle. It's a cycle life in everyday African men of African origin communities is all just a cycle. And the only way to break that cycle is just to start talking about the issues. If you just talk about the issues and what's going on instead of just yelling back and forth, because nothing gets done with yelling back and forth. If you just stop and talk just for 10 minutes to find out how your brother doing, how you doing, how your mama doing, how you mentally, how are you doing? He say I'm not doing good, and we could talk about the issues in our communities instead of just fussing about it and talking wrong about each other.
And to that, sir, I have to give you and that is what we stand for here on Jeremy Speaks on Everything. My mission is to get the males of African origin to start speaking to each other. And I'm issuing that challenge. Now, when this episode goes up on Facebook, which will probably be after I edit it tonight, and it'll probably go up tomorrow. But once this episodes go up, I'm going to tag 5 people in this episode. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to tag 5 people every day until I've spoken to 5 every day. And I'm going to screenshot the conversation so that I have the proof that I am indeed speaking to the men of African origin, because we have to speak to each other if we're going to protect ourselves. Nobody else is going to do it. The cops ain't going to do it. The politicians ain't going to do it. Nobody's going to do it except us. That's why I'm glad me and my actual brother have a chance to speak on the phone about this right now, because we're not sitting on the sideline saying, oh, let's wait for the change. No, we are bringing the change simply by communicating. So I want to give out to any listener right now that call-in number, 347-994-3320. And if you're listening for the first time and you happen to look like us, feel free to inbox me on my Facebook and tell me or offer to come on the show so we can all talk about it. I got people on my Facebook I went to school with 20 years ago that I haven't spoken to in 20 years. That is a damn shame. I'll treat a stranger with complete kindness, but I'll like and share and all that shit on my photos, but I won't speak to you and ask you how your day going. So I would like to hand it off to you if you want to close. I got about 2 minutes, a minute and a half left. If you want to tell everybody about it, you want me to just close out the show?
I close out the show.
No, you ain't closing out the show. I was just asking to be nice. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank my guest, my brother, very strong. We call him Elijah because we actually love him. We call him Elijah. I want to thank him for coming on the show to talk to me today. It was fun. Give me a day or two, and I'll send you the link. Like, share, subscribe, comment, criticize. Everyone, please, let's start talking to each other. I have been Jeremy Speaks, and this has been episode 11 of Jeremy Speaks on Everything. I want to wish you all a happy day. And boo, I wish I had a boo sound effect. Men of African origin, let's start talking to each other. Peace.
attacked.